Well, a college football expert says Mississippi State is starting 4-0, setting up a primetime clash with Tennessee. Could the Bulldogs be this season's biggest surprise?
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a football packed show for you today. We will talk about the 4-0 start possibly, but we also got a big news. Jayce Johnson, 4-star quarterback, will most likely be a 5-star when things are all said and done. Remember, Mississippi State was in his final grouping. He's made his announcement. Is he going to Starkville? We'll talk about that in the next break, after the next break. And then we, of course, will have our top dog of the week that we end every show with. But first, let's get into the 4-0 start, or possible 4-0 start. Brad Crawford of CBS Sports, he also writes for 24/7 Sports. He's predicting Mississippi State's revamped roster to start 4-0. That would mean they would beat Southern Miss, Arizona State, Alcorn State, and Northern Illinois. The Arizona State would probably be the surprise one of that. Most people have them 3-1 with a loss there. That would result in the 7 p.m. flex for the Mississippi State Tennessee, providing the Bulldogs with a 9th SEC opener at home. Are they getting slept on?
That's something we've talked about pretty much since we first looked at the schedule. Was 3-1 should be the expectation, and 4-0 is a real possibility because of, we don't know what Arizona State is. Yes, they return, I think, 20 of 22 starters, but one of those was their offense. Scadaboo was the offense. Yeah. And they got lucky last year. And I don't mean that like they won games they shouldn't have, but like they got some, everything just went their way. Not like there were bad calls that went in their favor or weird bounces or anything like that. It's just sometimes teams just get on a roll and everything that can go right does go right. And that's kind of what we saw from Arizona State down the stretch last year. And so if some of that comes back to kind of like a 50-50 split, they're still figuring out what they are. It's the second game of it's game number 2, and they're going to be on the Arizona State is on the road. I think that game's a lot closer to 50-50 than a lot of people are acting like it is.
Yeah, no, we've talked about that many times, and you've nailed it on the head with we just don't know what they are. And we know they were a college football playoff team last year. Really surprisingly, they were picked to finish last in the Big 12, came out of nowhere to make the college football playoff. Great season, and I've tweeted many times how much I love Kenny Dillingham as a head coach. I think he's the next coach. Yeah, I think he's the next superstar. Yeah. Will that be at Arizona State? Maybe. I think if I'm one of the big time schools, yeah, he probably won't be. Although it's his alma mater, so I could see that pulling him there. But I think if you're a big time school, Oklahoma's coach is on the hot seat, Florida's coach is on the hot seat. These kind of programs like that, you're even hearing stuff about LSU coach on the hot seat, Brian Kelly. I would go all in on Kenny Dillingham because I think he's that good of a coach. And so that would be my one pause. Like, yes, they lost Cam Scadaboo, which was their offense, and I know they return a lot. Kenny Dillingham is so good. And I saw a lot from Sam Leavitt in that game against Texas, even though they lost. The numbers do not do it justice how great he played in that game. And he was a warrior because his offensive line got dominated. Yeah. And he was I think it was his first year as either the full-time starter or first year as a starter. I know he started at Michigan State. Can't remember if he actually started at Michigan State or if he just started his career there.
He may have started a couple games, but he wasn't
not much. Yeah. So last year was his first year as a starter, and he had a really good season. Their only game that they lost outside of the Texas game, or did they lose 2? I think it was the only game they lost outside of the Texas game. He didn't play in that game, and otherwise they probably win that game. So I understand there's a lot of question marks with Cam being gone, but 4-0 is still a bold statement. Southern Miss on the road, you should win that one. Arizona State, we talked about, that's going to be a tough one. Alcorn State, obviously, you got to win that one at home. And Northern Illinois, while it's at home, you got to win the game, but they just beat Notre Dame last year on the road. So it's not like it's an easy Northern Illinois team.
Yeah, but yes,
you should still win, but it's not. Don't overlook it. Is what I'm trying to say.
A lot of those players are gone.
I don't remember how many they returned.
I don't think they returned very many. I know one of them's on Mississippi State's team now. So I mean,
right. And they went 8-5 last year, so it's not like they had this amazing season or anything like that. But it's just they've been one of those teams. God,
they've been a sneaky team.
Yeah, for like 10 or 15 years, it feels like.
Yeah. You can't take them lightly, but it should not be one. It should be one that you're feeling comfortable with by halftime.
Yeah, and the one worry also in that one is that the week after you play Tennessee. So hopefully you're not overlooking. And actually, to your credit, Northern Illinois is last in returning production this year.
Was right.
They're 136. They returned 23% of their production, 25% on offense, 22% on defense. So yeah, they lose a lot, but it just feels like it's a program that is always just solid. I mean, that's the best way to put them. They're just solid always.
Yeah, they're not going to beat themselves rarely. So, I mean, you just got to go in there, take care of business. And, I mean, at that game, seeing what we saw at Notre Dame, I think we can kind of just throw out that game as just some kind of weird anomaly for what happened.
And it was right after they had the emotional win against A&M to start the year. And if people don't remember, it was after that game that they changed their offense completely and took off. And they really formed their offense around Riley Leonard's legs, which helped Jeremiah Love and everything. And so it wasn't the Notre Dame team that we saw at the end of the year that made the national championship.
Yes. Right. But yeah, with how many people you can't look past them. You just have to go in there, take care of business. I mean, we talk about it a lot in the SEC. Rarely will Mississippi State be the more talented team on the field during the SEC schedule, but this is one time where you 100% will be. I would be surprised if there's a single position where you do not have the talent advantage. So don't beat yourself. Don't look past the game and just go take care of business. That's all you got to do that week.
And I should have looked this up before. If they do start 4-0 and they get that flex, and that's going to be a big-time matchup against Tennessee at that point because now you got prime time. And I know Mississippi State's had nighttime games, and they've even had the game, Egg Bowl and stuff like that. That is like a primetime game in terms of like the whole country's watching, whether that's an 11 a.m. or whatever. But when's the last time Mississippi State had a big-time nighttime game against someone that wasn't Ole Miss or someone like that, like a rival or something? When's the last time they had that? I really can't remember. Obviously, they've had nighttime games, but they've not been good. So it's like it's not really a big-time game.
Yeah,
but
it's not that prime time, like all eyes on it. And if you start 4-0, and I mean Tennessee will probably be 3-1, they'll probably lose to Georgia.
Yeah, right. And I don't think it will be the ABC prime time, but it could be like ESPN's prime time that they do at night.
Yeah, I mean that would be huge. And we've talked about how Tennessee's lost a lot, and I mean if you go into that game 4-0 and the stadium's rocking, you could walk out of there 5-0 and just need one more for a bowl game, and that would be massive. So,
that's a game we've talked about they could win, the Tennessee game.
I don't think 4-0 is crazy. I do think it's bold to just be like, yes, they will start 4-0, but I mean, I think it's 50-50 that they start 4-0. And I mean that because I think that the other three, I think they win. I think it's 50-50 on the Arizona State game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And for those that don't know, the Tennessee game is to be determined in terms of the television. It's either a 2:30 to 3:30 or 5 to 7 start time. But the 4-0 start would flex that into the 7 o'clock, I believe, start time. Outside of that, they start the year at 11 a.m. on ESPN. Then this is kind of a primetime game, but the Arizona State game's ESPN 2 at 6:30. It's a prime time in terms of the time, but it's
at least it's not ESPN. At least it's not ESPN Plus.
Right. Which they do get that, I believe, against Alcorn State. So
that one kind of.
Yeah, and so that's the Arizona State on ESPN2. That's not the kind of game I'm talking about. I'm talking about like ABC, even ESPN,
a Fox, 6 o'clock game.
Fox, Fox's primetime is usually 11. But or CBS, has been SEC, for a while. was longtime SEC. So I'm talking about something like that. It's probably been a while since you could say Mississippi State was in one of those marquee games that wasn't a rivalry game.
Wasn't a rivalry game or one of those bad weeks where like nothing else was happening. So
and so that would be exciting. That would be a big deal. And Starkville better be rocking for that one.
Oh yeah, and they better be rocking week 2.
Yeah, it has to be rocking week 2. Or you're not going to start 4-0 if it's not. So, all right, coming up next, Jace Johnson has announced his commitment. Will he be in Starkville? We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're seeking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need the extra boost to stay sharp and energized. My favorite thing with golf is it's something my buddies and I, ever since, high school, all my best friends, most of them we've been best friends since elementary school, and we love playing golf as a way to reconnect. Now that we all, we're in our 30s, we have people in Chicago, we have people in Texas, like we have people in California, we have them all over. So we love just getting together and that kind of being our thing still. We've done it since high school. And so it's just our way of having that camaraderie. We did it for my wedding, the day before my wedding. So it's just something we love to do. And golf is overall, it's all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5 and then ourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so Jace Johnson, he's a 4-star quarterback in the 2027 class. He's 6'3", 205, really big kid. He's from Georgia. He has announced previously that he was down to, I believe it was A&M, Georgia, Mississippi State, and I want to say Ole Miss was the other one, if I remember correctly. But anyways, he was a guy. Didn't really expect that he would ultimately choose. We didn't expect he'd ultimately choose Mississippi State, but for us to be into those battles said a lot about Jeff Lebby and what people thought about him as a quarterbacks coach. Actually, it was Florida State and Mississippi State, and Texas A&M was his final 3, according to On3. I thought Georgia was in there too, but maybe not. Anyways, he's a guy that didn't really think that Mississippi State would have a great shot of getting him, but being in that battle would be massive. He's the number 64 overall player, number 3 quarterback. He's a 4-star right now. Probably will get to 5-star range, or at least has a chance to get to 5-star range. He might not actually get up that high. I think you have to be around top 35 to do that. So he'd have to make a little bit of a jump. But yeah, he ultimately chose Texas A&M. So he's not going to Starkville.
I mean, it's not surprising that he's not here. Like, so we didn't really see. I think the surprising thing is a quarterback ranked that high got out of the state of Georgia and was going all the way to A&M. I think that's the surprising takeaway here, which we kind of mentioned that Georgia's kind of losing the grip on the state a little bit.
Right.
So,
and they just signed, who's that 2026 quarterback that's 5-star? But still, I mean, you would like to have 2 in back-to-back classes.
Exactly.
But yeah. Jared Curtis. That's who it is. He's number 5 player in the class. So
the quarterback for next year, 2027 class it's becoming interesting.
Very interesting.
In the mix for Jayce Johnson, doesn't go your way. In the mix for Malachi Ziegler, looking like it's not going to go your way.
Who we've said from the start, Jayce Johnson was probably the pipe dream. Malachi was kind of their number 1 because they knew they probably weren't going to get Jayce. And now it's sounding like, we talked about just last week, I believe, Malachi might be going to SMU. So that would be back-to-back massive losses.
Yeah, so it's starting to become interesting who you take there. And, obviously you have Kamario Taylor on the roster, who's a freshman this year. You're bringing in Brody McCorder the next year. and we both think he's going to be a star. So we think both of those guys could be stars. So while you want a very high-rated quarterback in every class, if you have back-to-back years where you bring in a very good quarterback recruit, having a year where you just take a guy to be on the roster, it's not the end of the world.
Right. Yeah, it sucks losing out on star players, period. I mean, like, yes, shocker. Like, it sucks when you do that. But this was someone – yeah, right. This is one that we said, though, when he announced that Mississippi State was in his final grouping, like, don't get your expectations up. He's probably not going to Mississippi State, and we would be shocked if he did go to Mississippi State. The biggest thing was it showed what these high school players think of Jeff Lebby as a coach, and that Mississippi State is in these battles. Yes, the goal is to ultimately win these battles, but to win the battles, you got to be in the battles. And a lot of times you have to be in the battles to start and then show the results on the field, which helps you then eventually win the battles. They did not show the results the first year. We'll see what happens this year. I mean, he was dealt a bad hand. It's hard to give any coach criticism for that. And I've said this from the start. I don't care what a coach does his first year. I'm not judging him for it. I won't do it. And I said that even and I don't care if you're terrible in your first year like Jeff Lebby was. I don't care if you're great in your first year like Sonny Dykes was and went to the national championship. I will not judge you for your first year because a lot of times your team is based off whatever that last staff did. And in most cases, that last staff got fired. So a lot of times your staff or your players and stuff aren't as good as they need to be. But in TCU's case, they were actually really good and they were coached well. They just needed a new voice and a new kind of scheme because Gary Patterson did a great job coaching them up. And I remember hearing reports from Sonny Dykes when he said he got there. He said, usually when you get there, you have to teach all this stuff. And they were stunned at how technically sound TCU players were.
He brought over, 3 or 4 of the best players from SMU when he left. And then now they were just off and running.
Right. And so, but I said I will not judge him. A lot of people wanted to crown him as the next great coach because he did that. And TCU's been terrible ever since. So I don't judge for the first year period. Now, the second year, if you don't make improvement, then the judgment starts happening. And so that's what Lebby and his staff is up against.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, you got to be in the battles to win them. You got to win some football games to win the battles. So that's where it has to come from. But yeah, it sucks losing out on these high-ranked guys, but with how the quarterback room is currently set up you have Kromenhoek on the roster. You have Taylor on the roster. You have Brody McCorder coming. Like I mean, taking a guy who's ranked lower that you like what he brings to the table, not going to kill the room because if everything goes the way you want it to go and these guys reach their ceiling, the guy from 2027 is playing 1 year. I mean, that's what you want. So if you really believe in your system and everything, you can kind of just take a guy who you see as kind of the depth, bridge quarterback, someone you can develop, someone like that. So, it sucks for the rankings to see where your class ranks. It sucks to lose out on high-ranked guys. But this is not a death knell for this, recruiting class by any means. And, kids are getting smarter, too, about where they're going. And some of these guys might be seeing that quarterback room and going look, I'm going up against a guy who had the same high school rating as me, and he's going to be in that system, and he's going to have a year under his belt. I'm going to go somewhere with an easier path. Or somewhere where I know I'm going to city gear because the guy's going to be a senior, and then it's my job. Something like that.
Yeah, and I do want to preface this. I don't think this is the case for Johnson, but as we said last week with Ziegler, this is a 2027 quarterback commit. Yeah. This is not done if they commit right now. If Ziegler commits to SMU, I don't think the battle's done. I think if Mississippi State has a really good season this year, you can convince him to come to Mississippi State. Johnson, I don't believe. I think Johnson is probably going to A&M. Either way, I just think
I would argue with that money.
Right, right, and also, I mean, I don't understand it, but A&M has this kind of reputation about them as being a better program than they are, and I don't get it, but it's been that way. And they push that propaganda. Yeah, and I think part of it is the Lord of the 12th Man, and they do have a fantastic stadium. And Johnny Manziel built that thing. It's a beautiful stadium. It's nice. It seats a ton of people, but they are perceived better than they actually are as a program, and I don't actually get it.
I don't either.
But I will say this, and I've said this many times, Mike Elko, I think, is a great coach. And I thought finally they made the right decision by getting a football guy in there instead of the home run hire, because I think he's outstanding.
He's a great coach. And, I don't understand their reputation. It's like they have the reputation of like 20 years ago. They were like what Alabama's been. And I'm like, you beat Alabama like twice when Alabama was Alabama. I don't really understand why you think you're them. But, this one, I don't know if it's over with the Johnson commitment, but I do think it's over for Mississippi State. If he goes somewhere else, if he leaves A&M, I don't think it'll be to Mississippi State. But I would not be surprised if he backs out of that commitment.
Probably a team that maybe offers more. So I'm not saying he's just all about the money, but anytime someone commits to A&M, you kind of raise your eyebrows. But again, I would play for Elko. I mean, I love Elko so much as a coach.
I'd play for who offered me the most. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Let's be
right.
real.
And Landon's always been consistent about that. He does not get the criticism on people going for money because it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
If you come from no money, it's a lot of money.
Good for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, coming up next, we got to give our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, so you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. My favorite part about Gametime is the panoramic seat view. You can see exactly what your view is going to be before you buy those tickets. We've all been there on all those other sites trying to figure out what our view is going to look like. But with Gametime, you don't have to wonder. You click on that panoramic seat view and see what you're going to see before the show. And with Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay, no hidden fees. Love that. Hate getting to check out and seeing those extra fees added up to where you end up spending so much more than what you thought you were going to. And you don't have to worry about that with Gametime. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who's your top dog of the week?
I'm actually going to go with Coach Chad Bumpus. He had my favorite interview out of all of the assistant coaches last week, and I'm buying it. I'm buying the wide receiver room. Between what he said and then, just the things we get out of a little bit we got out of Levy and the little bit that came from just the other offensive coach interviews about the wide receiver room, the little nuggets. I think he's done a great job coaching these guys up, and I think we're going to be in for some fireworks with this squad.
All right. I like that one. I went with someone I thought you would go with if you saw it. And so I kind of went off the path. We talked about many times about the highlight plays that get tweeted out all the time now that fall camp is here. The stock with Kamario Taylor is rising, and I am going with Kamario Taylor as my top dog of the week. The tweet was actually about Frisco McGee's incredible one-handed catch. And I'm
trying to tamper my Kamario Taylor train a little bit.
And I will say that the catch was incredible. He went up one-handed right over the guy, just pulled it in.
It was unreal.
But the pass from Kamario Taylor is what jumped out to me because it was an absolute dot. And for those that haven't really followed along, we've talked about it many times. Kamario Taylor is an elite athlete and runner. The big question was how could he develop as a passer? Then the spring game happened, and a lot of reports were he's a little farther on as a passer than we thought he was. And that pass, and I know it's just one play. It's just like if you see a D lineman beat an offensive lineman on a rep, it's one play. It's not a massive deal. But he's starting to show signs of being a more refined passer than we thought he was. Yeah. And that makes you feel really good about QB2 because he's not going to be QB1 this year. It's going to be Blake Shapen, barring an injury, knock on wood. But it makes you even more excited about the future, which we've talked about a lot in this show about what the future will be at quarterback. If Kamario Taylor develops as a passer, he fits the offense perfectly, and he could be that future at the position.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that throw and catch and just Kamario Taylor in general. And, like, I don't think it was his arm. Everyone knew he had a great arm. It was the actual processing, putting the ball in the right place.
Right.
Because when you're that type of athlete, you don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff in high school. It's, it's not there. All right, I'm going to outrun the other 10 guys on the field. So to see him placing the ball like that, even in practice, is a great sign. Hopefully, a couple of these early games, we get some real blowouts and we can actually get him some time on the field and we really see some of that. But no, it's very encouraging.
Right, and I do want to do an honorable mention to Anthony Evans because there was a clip on Sunday of Blake Shapen throwing a bomb to Anthony Evans, and he just had blown away from the defenders to get a touchdown catch, and that's what you want to see because that's what him, Brennan Thompson, will bring to the offense. So we'll see what ends up happening as far as the wide receiver room and how it shakes out, but Anthony Evans should be a big factor to that, and so give him an honorable mention. But overall, a lot of exciting stuff so far.
Yeah, between that and this 4-0 start prediction, I think the hype train is about to go off the tracks.
It's going wild. Before you know it, 10-2 is coming. But all right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. My name is Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We are able to post daily videos Monday through Friday now that our site is letting us. At least last I saw it was letting us. So we should be back to posting. Back to posting daily videos on that. But make sure to hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell, get notified anytime we post anything. We're up to 661 subscribers.
All right.
We're getting closer and closer to our 1,000 goal by early college football season. So thank you so much. Thank you to the everydayers that have come on and listen to us all the time. We definitely appreciate it. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.